Welcome everybody, and thank you for checking out the video series that we've been doing over the last 6 to 10 weeks, which is the ridiculously easy guide to using Unbounce. And today we're doing something a little bit different. This is a video that we've brought in the experts at Unbounce, and with me I have Ryan, who's the VP of Product Marketing. Hi Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me, Adam.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So typically with these videos, we normally go through the features, we go through the platform, and we just talk about how the platform works great for PPC marketers and marketers in general. And today we wanted to bring in Ryan because he has the inside scoop on everything that's happening at Unbounce and is going to give you a sneak peek about features that are coming out soon and some things that are going to be coming out in the future. So to get us started, Ryan, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your role in the company, and then maybe roll into the background of Unbounce. I don't think most people probably know the story.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, my name's Ryan. I'm now the VP Product Marketing at Unbounce, but my background was originally in customer success. So Unbounce is about 8 years old, and I joined 6.5 years ago. I was the second employee, actually. And when I started, I just started answering the phones, kind of on the support side, and then I helped scale out our customer success team. So we went from support to also offering like proactive customer engagement. We have a we had a customer education, now customer expansion team, and then customer community as well. But with customer success, I think I always try to approach it from a lens of scalability. I mean, we have, just about 14,000 customers now. So most customer success is kind of enterprise, like one-to-one. But if you're going to do it at scale, I found a lot of product marketing. That's what it's all about. So it was a pretty natural transition from CS into product marketing. So that's me. But then as far as Unbounce, like I said, it was founded about 8 years ago, and our CEO, Rick Perot at the time, was a marketer, and he was running campaigns, and he knew that he'd get far better conversion rates from them if he could build targeted landing pages with really like campaign relevant messages, not a lot of distraction, some personalization for the content as well. So he tried to get that done. His technical team at the time, like IT Bottleneck, just could not do it. And so his pitch for Unbounce was, I just need a way to put, some text and a button on a page and just put it on the web so I can run my campaign traffic to it. And then 8 years later, we're still building that same way to put a button on a page.
That's amazing. So you were the second employee. I actually didn't realize that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of the grandpa around here. Usually if anyone needs to know why we do anything the way we do, they'll come check with me.
And how many employees did you say are there right now?
We're just around 175. So our headquarters is here in Vancouver, Canada. So we're on the West Coast. So we got some wood in the background. It's our shed out to the West Coast. And then we also have an office in Berlin. So our Canadian and our European offices.
Oh, that's great. Well, perfect. So tell me about the Berlin office a little bit. That's really interesting. Why do you have another office in Europe?
Because we have customers all over the world, really is kind of the long and short of it. Our product development is all here in Vancouver, but our Berlin office has some marketing, some customer success, some support, some sales. So the advantage to having the Berlin presence, one, is just the presence in the European market.
Yeah.
English-speaking countries are kind of where we've always had the most customers, but we have a lot of customers in Germany, in Spain, Brazil, which is not Europe, but the time zone coverage helps for Brazil out there, I'd say just international presence overall.
That's great. Yeah, I didn't realize that, but I would imagine that, based on your platform and just how easy it is and ubiquitous, that, going international is probably not too much of a stretch, I would guess.
Yeah, no, there's, it's kind of it's a global problem. Like digital marketing happens just about everywhere. And so the market problems that exist in every language, not just English. And so we found that customers all over the world of all languages were using the platform anyway. And so the step into Europe was a pretty natural step to help support them.
Cool. So tell me a bit about who the ideal customer is, because there are a lot of people that use landing pages. There are probably some customers that are better fits than others. So who do you jive best with? Who has the longest, the longest tenure with you as far as customers go? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So the primary market problem we solve, ParaCore, like working in paid, like the cost per click for paid has just gotten so high in the last few years. I think it was about 5 years ago, the average CPC was 84 cents. And it's now, I think I read most recently, like $2.24. So, the customers who tend to, have experience the most benefit and value from Unbounce are usually those doing paid. Really, it's anyone in digital marketing focusing on optimizing post-click. But because the ROI with paid is just so clear, like if you, let's say you're spending $10,000 a month on paid and you want to double your results, well, you can spend $20,000 a month on paid. And I'm sure you have, a far more intelligent answer there. I think there's a lot more you can do than just, skyrocket your paid budgets. But if you can improve the post-click conversion rate as well, like you can just see such massive improvements. And that's what we see with our customers.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're totally right. We actually, back in the day, did a lot of website development, and that whole process of building the landing pages and going through, just changing a button color or something was kind of a pain if you had to use a developer.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, once people really understand the post-click conversion problem, then the next thing is, okay, but can I do it quickly and can I do it without developers? And one of our main things is to give people total control, but then also total control without an IT bottleneck. So it's totally meant to be like a do-it-yourself platform.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, today's video, we're just going to talk about a couple different things that, the newest features that basically you can start using in Unbounce today, because when you get in there and you start using it, there are some things that kind of jump out, like building your first landing page and the drag and drop, and we cover those in some other videos, but there are a number of other features that we're even discovering on a regular basis that are really cool. So why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the different features that are coming out, basically right now or in the near future that, maybe pro users or people that are fairly familiar with the platform just might not be aware of.
Sure. So we have a few things. One of them, this actually isn't. It's not a feature in Unbounce, but it is kind of a product that we launched really recently. So we have been. It's no secret. Like machine learning and AI is, kind of it's obviously a big market trend, but just such a big opportunity for so many companies. We now in 8 years have collected just a tremendous amount of information in regards to, marketing, landing pages, and conversion rates, conversion data. So we recently released a landing page analyzer, and it's partially powered by, 8 years of that conversion data and our machine learning insights. So it's at unbounce.com/landing-page-analyzer. And you can punch in like a URL for your landing page, a page on your website, and then we go through and run like a custom report for you on those pages, and then produce, a series of insights, again, some of which are based on things that we've learned through machine learning, which can even include some suggestions for like copy on your pages as well. I just have some notes here because I otherwise would forget the categories. So for the kinds of suggestions that you can get when you punch in your page, like we'll give you a score, how well does your landing page score? But the suggestions are on page speed, mobile friendliness, trust and security, conversion center design, message match, SEO, and social, and then some recommendations for how you can improve your pages. Which obviously with, let's say AdWords, for example, landing page experience is such a key component of quality score. This is one way that you can just kind of figure out what you can do to improve your quality score.
Yeah, it's really cool. You sent that over in preparation for this interview, and we had kind of stumbled across it before. And I didn't fill it out before. I did fill it out when you sent it over. And so I was going through it, and I'm filling out one of our pages for one of our clients. And before I hit the send button or the submit button, I got like anxiety because I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
This better turn out well, otherwise I'm gonna feel like really bad about myself as a PPC agency. So on the page I submitted, we ended up getting a 79%, which I don't know. Yeah, that's a respectable C plus. You know, would have preferred a B minus, but you know, it's passing. But it was really cool in the way that it showed just a variety of those metrics that you were talking about, like SEO. You know, I think it had whether the form was above the fold or not, and just different components that, you know, if you do a lot of PPC marketing, you kind of know in the back of your head, or you'll look at a page and you'll like your gut will be like, you need to like change these things. But the fact that it creates a report for you and gives you a score and just like legit suggestions was really cool. So I thought it was very fascinating, and I recommend anybody go check it out because it was really cool.
Yeah, that's well, I mean, it's great to hear. You know, like a couple of problems. So I said, you know, I started off in support several years ago, and I would often hear like customers would call in, and we offer A/B testing as part of our platform as well, and they always just wanted to know, well, where do I get started? Where do I start testing? And the wonderful thing about this is it does give you just like a pretty quick rundown of things that you can look at and test and optimize. And then the other is for a lot of agencies, you know, believe it or not, there are many clients who need to be convinced to try using landing pages for paid. And so with the analyzer, you know, let's say a client wants to run traffic to a page on their website, you can then run that page on the website through the analyzer and basically give your client a report and say, hey, look, like this is how well this one page does. But then if you use this landing page, here's what the score could be, and therefore potentially the increase in conversion rate. So it's also, you know, if you wanted, it could be a tool for sales for an agency.
That's actually an amazing idea because, I mean, as any PPC or lead gen company knows, talking about a landing page versus a website and all the objections that come up with that, like, you know, well, they don't know what else we do, or like, how are they going to find all this other stuff? It's just a never-ending conversation, and you can talk about results, but it's just another tool that would be awesome. I didn't even think about that until you just said it. Yeah.
It's nice to be able to deliver a report, you know, sort of like, don't take my word for it.
Yeah.
Check out what Unbounce has to say. They've done nearly 500 million conversions in 8 years. Like, listen to them.
That is awesome. Okay, cool. So when someone gets that information, how do you normally recommend that they use it? So, I mean, the obvious is like, you know, just fix your landing pages, but what are some common next steps when people get those reports? You know, what's the purpose and kind of encouragement from those reports?
So there is, like in the report, there's a top recommendation section. So it'll tell you right near the kind of the beginning of the report, like the main things you could do to provide the most significant lift to your pages. So it is going to be personalized, like, you know, for each person and for each person's page. And then I would say one of the key things that actually can really help is page speed. And to help with page speed, one of the things that you'll get when you run your pages through the analyzer is just like we'll run your images through kind of this compression engine to produce like smaller image files that you can then use, and those will speed up your page, which will in turn, you know, improve conversion rates.
Oh, so you'll actually kick back images that are more compressed? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's included. If they can be optimized, then they are included in the report.
Nice. Well, either I overlooked that or we're already optimized. So
yeah.
I'm going to roll with the already optimized. That's awesome. That is really cool. I mean, that in itself almost makes it like a practical tool that you can use all the time, like almost just for that feature, which is probably kind of weird, but just getting images optimized is a huge benefit.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's better than having to batch optimize things in Photoshop. And I mean, if you don't have Photoshop access, then this is way easier.
Yeah, totally. All right, cool. So that's the landing page optimizer, which we'll put a link in the description, and as we're editing this video, we'll put, you know, like the link in the overlay. So everybody go check that out. That's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Talk to me next about what's the next feature? What are some of the newer things that you've come out with in addition to that?
Sure. So, I mean, you know, for the past 8 years, Unbounce was primarily a landing page builder for marketers. But then, as I said, the problem we solve is really the post-click conversion problem, which includes, I mean, there's many things that you can do to improve conversion rates after someone gets to your pages. And so earlier this year, we launched pop-ups and sticky bars. The pop-ups we had been calling overlays for quite a while, but found that term just didn't quite resonate with people. Most of our customers called them pop-ups anyway. So we're in the process of basically rebranding them to pop-ups and sticky bars. And so with those, I mean, there's so many advanced like triggering and targeting options. You can embed them. Like there's one line of JavaScript, you can put it on your website, and then right from within Unbounce, you can publish new pop-ups or sticky bars to any page of your website. You can, in Unbounce, you can apply, put them across all of the landing pages that you have published to the same domain. And then you can set up like exit pop-ups. You can set up sticky bars on your website if you have, let's say, seasonal campaigns or promotions. What else? There's quite a bit. It's one of those things where like once you start digging into it, it's like, oh man, I didn't even realize that I could do all of this stuff with just this suite of features here. Two-step opt-in forms, that's one thing that we've often been asked about in the past. So with the pop-ups in Unbounce, you can basically take any button, any image, any link on your website, and then turn it into you can click it and then it'll open a form in a pop-up window. So we released the pop-ups at the beginning of the year, and then sticky bars, I think maybe about 2 months ago. And now we're just about to release some more advanced functionality with those. One thing that people have been asking for is the ability to schedule. So for agencies, this is particularly awesome. You can schedule campaigns for your clients. So when you need to run campaigns for certain dates, you can just say, like, I want this pop-up or this sticky bar to run on this page with these triggers from this date to this date. Geo-targeting is a big one. We used to have country-level targeting for these and are now about to roll out. We have regional targeting, and we're really there's only, I think, one other solution that has city targeting, but we're going to be offering city-level targeting as well, which is cool because let's say you're running, I don't know, like a meetup or an event or something, and you want to target people just like in a particular city. You can put like a pop-up or sticky bar on your website or on your landing pages and only show it to visitors within a particular city or region and give them like a very personalized offer.
That is really cool. So basically anyone visiting from that area, it does like geo-IP sort of tracking where it picks up your IP address and then determines where you are, and then it'll show you or not show you based on that?
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, they're like, it's, once you get in, honestly, like the fidelity of control that you have with the triggers, because blanket pop-ups that just appear to everyone nonstop, they're annoying. They are annoying. But if they can be, hyper targeted and really relevant, and if you can give someone, an offer they're going to care about, and if it can be like very specific and personalized for them, I think they actually add a tremendous amount of value. And so that's what we've tried to make sure we can build with this, is something that creates a really powerful marketing tool, but also just a really great experience for end users as well.
Yeah. So what would you say are maybe the best use cases you've seen, or sometimes when you walk into something and there's so many different options, you almost like get a little overwhelmed and maybe you don't know exactly where to start. But what are some like either low level or just really interesting options you've seen? You mentioned the local events, which is really cool when the location rolls out. But what are really common, kind of like low hanging fruit if someone's just getting into it?
I would say probably if I could pick, let's go through three. The first one would be like exit overlays. So on your landing pages, you're running paid traffic, you're sending that traffic to a landing page. Let's say the call to action is to get a quote. Getting a quote is potentially like it might be a big ask, like people might not be there quite yet, like looking for a quote. And so if someone arrives on the page, they spend some time and then they go to leave, you can send them an exit offer in its place. And instead of saying, hey, get a quote a second time, you can offer them something that's a little lower friction. We have one agency who have had a lot of success sending, like, the exact use case actually was get a quote was the call to action on the page, but then the call to action in the exit overlay was, download this white paper or like get this ebook. So it was still related to the main like value proposition and the theme of the page. It's just instead of, hey, get a quote, it was, hey, why don't you take this ebook instead? And that significantly improved the conversion rates on their pages. And in the end, they had the contact information and they were able to reach out anyway, which is really all they wanted to be able to do, which seemed pretty successful. So that's the exit overlays. A second use case would be if let's say you have Google Analytics plugged into your website, and you can see what your highest traffic pages are. They might be the most popular blog posts that you've got, or let's say I don't know, just like another page that's got particularly strong content with high SEO. You can then you can embed like a pop-up or a sticky bar onto those pages with certain triggers, maybe when someone scrolls down like a certain percentage of the page. And then you could say embed like an announcement or a call to action to send someone to like a higher converting page. So that way, your most popular pages, which generate the most traffic, can actually be used as a traffic source to send people over to campaigns that are already really high converting. So we've seen a lot of customers do that, and that's been really successful. And then the other, I think I mentioned this already, but the two-step opt-in form is something that like a lot of customers have always wanted to be able to do. You mentioned like with the website situation how difficult it was to just change even a button color on a website. Never mind, if you're trying to add a form or change a form or update something on the website. This way, once the script is installed on the website, you can just handle it all from within Unbounce. And then, like I said, you can take any link, button, image, etc., and turn it into a form. And then you can customize that form. You can customize the offer. You can do all of that within Unbounce using the drag and drop builder.
That is awesome. And just to drive home the point on the first one, you're saying that the call to action is like contact us for a consult. And someone's not willing to do that. And so before they leave, they're basically saying, hey, all right, fine. You don't need to contact us for a consultation, but how about this ebook that's less committal? Even though you're still giving us basically the same information, just take this ebook and then you still acquire the lead. That's basically, yeah.
Exactly. They're there. It's I was talking to just a really, really intelligent woman, really strong marketer about this, and she refers to it as the last mile problem, which is marketing is a marathon, and you work so hard to get people onto your properties, and that's really just about the end. But I think HubSpot did some research, 96% of website visitors don't convert, and so everyone's almost there. So just take them that last mile, just tip them over the edge. And landing pages, pop-ups, sticky bars, they all give you a way to do that.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right, great. So are there any interesting use cases that people started using that you just did not expect, where you're like, holy crap, that is a really interesting use for that? And maybe it's just the content one, like you said, where people are kicking over to more relevant content or other relevant content, but anything just kind of surprise you guys as you release these because of the nature of being able to do so many things? Has anything stuck out?
Yeah, there's quite a few. So because it's one of those, because Unbounce overall, one of our main goals is to eliminate tech bottlenecks. We find marketers will use whatever they can within Unbounce to just make something happen without having to bug their dev teams. And so we see that a lot with these, especially because they're a way to not make changes to the website, but to create announcements, banners. So sticky bars are basically a banner that will stick to either the top or the bottom of your webpage based on certain triggers. So we actually use it ourselves. So in our application, we have sticky bars set up for feature announcements. So when we make changes to the product or new announcements come out, we now have a little drop down that will appear that will tell you about that announcement. We have seen some customers use it. So in Europe, actually in Canada as well, if you're using cookies, if you're dropping cookies, you have to basically get consent and inform someone that that you're using cookies on your website. So we've seen people use the sticky bars to inform people that you are in fact using cookies for your marketing. Sticky navs is another. So with sticky bars, you can actually, again, create that banner that adheres to the top of the page, and you can use it to link to kind of different anchors throughout the page. So then it becomes that sticky nav to navigate within the page.
That's crazy. You take the feature and skew it for uses that are not conversion related, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It's things that aren't necessarily conversion related. but are still related to that problem of, trying to hack things together without developers.
Yeah, that's really cool. All right. What would you say are some good benchmarks for conversion as far as like, we even have clients that are just like, hey, I feel like our conversion rates should be higher. And we're like, well, what do you think they should be? And I just feel like they should be higher. I mean, whether it's related to the sticky bars and the pop-ups or just kind of conversion rates in general. And I do realize that it varies by industry and source and things like that. But, kind of in the context of this conversation with sticky bars and like catching people on their way out, what are some things that, might make a marketer feel good that they're doing a good job or not good that, maybe there's some room for improvement,
Well, I mean, the one great thing with especially like an exit pop-up or an exit sticky bar is that you're converting visitors that would have had no way to convert otherwise. So no matter what your conversion rate, if you set them up, you are automatically from get-go getting more conversions than you were before. Like there's no way to not do better than you were doing without them. So that's the kind of the one point of solace. So far as the conversion rate, I mean, conversion rates are going to be lower with pop-ups and sticky bars usually than with, say, like a landing page. What I meant to say was the conversion rates with sticky bars tend to be lower than the conversion rates for like a pop-up because the pop-ups are a little more front and center. So with sticky bars, I think we've seen, something starting around like 4 or 5%, whereas pop-ups, I think it's about, it's not like an exact science, but maybe about twice that. Again, of course, it depends on relevance, it depends on the offer, it depends on the traffic source, it depends on the design. There's a lot of factors that go into those, so it is hard to pick what the range would be. For landing pages, I can give a better answer, which is that part of, I mentioned Unbounce, like we just have a tremendous amount of data, and so we spent part of last year, one of our teams built out a conversion benchmark report. So they filtered our pages by industry and actually put together kind of here's based on your industry what your range should be. So if you're able to put a link for that in the description as well, I'd say check out the conversion benchmark report. It'll tell you kind of what the average is per industry, what the low end is, and then what the high end can be. And then per industry, we also have recommendations for some of the copy that you can use to improve conversion rates as well.
Oh, that's really cool. That's cool. I haven't seen that, and having that copy would be amazing.
Actually, we also added, kind of related to that, some templates. So if you are in Unbounce and you're building landing pages, we created a series of industry-specific templates that all leverage those machine learning insights. So the copy recommendations are actually built into the templates when you go in there.
Oh. See, I would look at those templates and just be like, cool, copywriter, like, thanks, but no thanks, or like, I'd probably just change it. But the fact that they're actually grounded in data, that changes everything.
Yeah, like I said, I think we're approaching 400 million conversions ever. And those are just the ones where people have clicked, like, track this conversion. There may be, far, far more. But, out of those 400 million conversions, the insights are pulled from all of that.
Cool. Tell us what's on the horizon. What's not out yet that people can look forward to if they are maybe just considering Unbounce or already have it. What's next?
So some of the things we're working on, I'd say, are like they'll appeal to a very specific kind of customer. One of the first, well, actually, I mean, we were just talking about machine learning and AI. So before I get into the other stuff, I will say, obviously, machine learning and AI is going to continue to be a big area of focus for us. There's lots that we can learn and lots that we'll be able to share with customers to help them improve their conversion rates overall. But aside from that, a big one, I don't know, have you heard of GDPR, which is the General Data Protection Regulation?
I didn't know about it until planning for this interview. So yes and no? No, but yes.
So, it doesn't sound like it's the most interesting thing in the world. But basically, it's a change in data protection laws for Europe, and it goes into place in May 2018. So it includes best practices for like data privacy, data protection, and it applies to any like any company operating within the EU or any company that handles data, of someone living in the EU. So, if you're doing any amount of lead gen, any kind of marketing, and you happen to have visitors or customers that are within Europe, this data protection regulation will impact you. So one of the major things that we're doing is investing, we're investing quite a lot to make sure that we're, GDPR compliant before May 2018, so that, if you're working with Unbounce, you'll know that you're good, and if you have customers in Europe, you'll be safe working with Unbounce.
So so right now, if someone's working with you, these compliance things aren't necessarily, they're coming, but they're not here. So anyone that's currently working with you in Europe or thinking about it, they can just have the peace of mind knowing that you're rolling out all of your platforms to comply with those regulations.
That's right. So as I said, it officially goes into place in May 2018, and our goal is to be fully GDPR compliant before that date. So if you're working with Unbounce, we got your back. You're not going to have to worry about it. And if someone happens to break the laws, the fines are massive. Like, they're just absolutely crazy. So it's a pretty serious thing. It's the biggest change to data privacy and protection law since 1995. So it's been, I think it was 5 years in the works. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's funny that it's such a huge deal in the U.S. We haven't heard that much about it. Well, I mean, unless you're working internationally, you're not going to hear much about it. But
yeah, well, if actually Salesforce is one of the main companies that's sort of at the forefront of the education around it. So if you even head to the Salesforce website, they've got just a tremendous amount of information about it as well.
Great. Anything else that people should keep their eyes open for?
Yeah, again, like I said, it's kind of the round of stuff we're working on right now is sort of for a very specific customer, along with the data protection stuff, just enhanced security overall. So introducing things like double-factor authentication, so that when you're working in Unbounce, your lead data is safe, your pages are safe. Enhanced security overall, continuing to improve SSL with Unbounce. So with SSL, for example, in October of this year, Google Chrome basically changed their platform so that if you try to collect lead data over an unencrypted connection, so like just a regular HTTP connection, it'll throw an error or like a warning message. So, we've been SSL compliant for a long time, but, continuing to make some improvements there so that, our customers can continue to show their customers that they are trustworthy, safe, and secure to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, I mean, it is about your relationship with agencies and people like us, but really the people that are using Unbounce are, the end client, or they may not ever even touch it, but they're the ones that are really on the hook if it's on their domain, and they're the ones with the data, and they're the ones running the advertisements. There's some, heavy hitters out there that would not want that. This is really important for us. So it's not just the agencies and what we're doing and building the campaigns. That's serious stuff.
No, it is. And I mean, it's not the funnest stuff to talk about. I would way rather talk about cool advanced targeting and personalization and dynamic text replacement and AMP for mobile pages. There is a lot of other cool stuff, and there's way more on our roadmap. This just happens to be the stuff that's in the next few months. But for an agency, or for anyone using our platform, like you said, it's not just about our relationship with them, it's about their relationship with their customers. And even Google, with AdWords, these are the kinds of things that are starting to be factored into your quality score and your experience overall. So they may not be, the flashiest, but they're pretty important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like legal agreements or something, nobody wants to talk about them, but they're really important,
Yeah. Hopefully this is better than a legal
agreement. Yeah, it is. All right, perfect. Well, that's we're gonna wrap up today's. We have another interview with Ryan coming out in the next couple weeks. So in that interview, we're gonna be talking about the 8 things that you should know as an expert Unbounce user. So kind of like the tools and tips and tricks if you are using Unbounce a lot, kind of taking you beyond the basics that we cover in the other videos. So make sure to join us for that. Ryan, thank you for your time today, and we'll be talking again in a couple weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.